Well, I just woke up and it's about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I guess I missed a big explosion. I was told that someone was lighting dynamite up the river, and they were doing that to catch fish, which is sad because I guess what I missed, and I caught a little bit of it for you guys, but that there was just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fish floating down river because that's do the dynamite, stuns/kills a bunch. They're choosing all the large ones wherever they did it, and then what was coming down river for here, it's lots of silver dollars, piranha, tetras, all that kind of stuff. And so, like, the cook's getting stuff to make fish soup and bait to catch larger, maybe catfish or something for the crew, while we're out collecting today. But I never knew that was a thing. I mean, I knew that's a thing in saltwater, like you use dynamite and that kind of stuff, or cyanide and that. I didn't know that was in the Amazon River. And it's the first time they had seen it, but they knew about it, and it's illegal, but it's kind of just one more thing. Like, it's not enough that they have all the people subsisting off of it in that, like, a normal fishing way. You've got all the wildlife doing it in a subsistive way. Sure, you've got us collecting some fish. If we take home, let's say, I don't know what the number is, let's say it's 200 fish, 200 fish like this. It's less than, like one catfish or whatever, but the devastation that, that they saw and relayed to me is just crazy, especially for the fact that, like, beyond us, there's not really anyone else collecting, so they're just going to die/be picked off by other fish, and so it's not quite a waste because the fish will get eaten, but it's just, I don't know, I guess I want to document that of, like, wow, didn't know about that, and yeah, didn't know about it. This is one more thing to just contend with nature here. It's like, wow, it seems so wrong. That's my initial reaction, probably like your guys' reaction is always like, that's so crazy, that's got to be horrible for the environment. And I agree, it probably is, and it's probably not safe and all that. And then I also try to think a little bit further and go, well, maybe, and because I don't know, I'm in someone else's culture here, and it is illegal, but maybe it's really efficient to feed a bunch of people. I don't know, but it does show me that, like, a lot of fish come out of this river every day. Like, just from fishermen alone, you see, I would say we probably average maybe 50 to 100 boats or fishermen actively seining. So let's say there's 100 seines going. And that's just in a very small, let's say it's a 10-mile stretch we've been on the Amazon River, right? And so if you've got that multiplied over just thousands of miles, it's an abundant resource that, as long as it's not over-farmed, overfished, and too much change in, let's say, the climate here or the path of the river. I was learning about that yesterday where the river will move miles from one way to the other just because the force is so strong and it carves out, maybe like right back here, you've got this kind of comes around this and then back in. And I asked, well, how long does it take to, like, shave part of that off? And Devin was saying, well, next year we could come and I could have shaved all that. It could just all be gone. Could have moved like a bunch. And same thing over here, because we were driving by and there was basically an island, and I was asking questions, and he says year to year it can change drastically. And so that's kind of I don't know, it's an interesting take on it and learning about so much of this. And each year from my limited 3 trips here, so take that in, it appears that maybe pollution gets a little bit worse. A good example that we didn't film was we went to the place where we caught our Bricon tetras that ended up being food fish so that we couldn't import last time. And it was kind of this community, basically like a community pool, or they call it the community bath. And it was this like pond with some water near it that it would kind of flood and fill. And then they'd use that like all summer long to wash clothes and all of that. And I had documented last 3 years ago or whatever it was, that how crazy it was. They're using laundry detergent and all this stuff when we go back. And now they've fixed it up. So they made it so a channel of water goes into it and it flows through, and then the water's even clearer, right? But there was a lot more garbage around. There was an overflowing garbage can. There was in one area of the pool, I remember seeing there's a Bible and lots of plastic bottles and all that kind of stuff. And now there was almost no fish in there. And so, they probably went downstream a bit, so some probably made it out. We caught some killies there, or at least Michael caught some killifish there that he wanted to add to a group he already had. He needed a male. Everything's always changing, I guess, is the takeaway there. If everything's always changing, and just in a 3-year time, it went from super abundant and awesome to 3 years later, it's not non-existent, but if I was labeling things like, okay, now it's critically endangered, and now in another couple of years it might just be gone, I don't really fault the locals for it, because you don't have running water, but you do see these interactions that you scratch your head. And so you've got people bathing and using laundry detergent and all that, and then you've also got people getting drinking water from the same thing, and they're carrying it back up to the village. And so just seeing how people live and not having fresh running water and access to a town and all of these things, yeah, it just makes you think about all kinds of stuff. Devin, in the morning, before we left the next morning, he handed out like 50 pairs of reading glasses for most people to awake. But I guess, it's always, he says it's rewarding to see, the elderly kind of put reading glasses on. Something you get for like the dollar store, we would, it's $1 or $2 or $3 at the grocery store, put it on, all of a sudden they can see again. It's so rewarding. And so, I think, Aquarium Coop's going to see what we can do to kind of, help a little bit with this. And, whether it's some of sales or making a donation or whatever it is I'm very much into the helping of the people in the land and all of that. Like there's lots of projects, Amazon Research Center, there's Project Piaba, there's all of that stuff. There's MT Amazon Expeditions, which is the boat I'm on. Let's say they do 10 trips a year. Well, 8 of them are medical trips. That kind of always rolled off my brain going, oh yeah, medical, people break their leg and that kind of stuff. And then as I talked to them more about it, some of the really important stuff is like dentistry. Like let's say you got a toothache and the nearest dentist is who knows how many hours boat ride away, and then you don't have really a good income source, you don't have money, right? So and you imagine living with a toothache for how long. And so I just thought that was kind of cool, and it's a way to kind of give back to where our fish come from. Not all of our fish, obviously, and not all of our plants or anything like that, but we're gonna see what we can do to kind of play around with that and get involved a little bit. I don't have the bandwidth to spearhead any kind of projects, but there's some things that people who are down here more often are worried about, like, hey, this bridge is gonna do this, it might do that. Hey, these people need help. This is going on here, and there's always two sides to every coin. I've heard presentations in the past about, like in Africa, right? So not in Peru, but in Africa, that mosquito nets get turned and used into like basically seines, and it's hurting the population of fish. And so I was kind of talking to them about here, and they're like, well, no, they actually use the mosquito nets because those bugs are just so bad and everything. And he says that's the number one item would honestly just be mosquito nets for reducing disease transmission and that kind of stuff. So Randy, Director of Operations, is going to see what it would take. How could we source that? Could we, there's no, like, I won't say no, but there's like no mail system here. Like you just you have to get word to someone that they have a package at the post office. You have to pay storage fees, and then you have to kind of bribe customs to get it through, and then someone could pick it up. So it's not like we can just really send them a big package of supplies or nets or something like that, like mosquito nets. So we want to see what's it like to import a cargo container. Could we fill that with supplies? And I definitely 100% trust MT Amazon Expeditions. Just seeing the work, and when we go to a community, how they already know them, and they're so thankful for just care and I don't know, interaction or whatever it is. Like you can just tell, if you've ever been with someone who is liked by other people, you get that, even not in your own language. I don't speak a lick of Spanish, but you can just see the interaction and the admiration, I guess, they have. And so that's, I think that's a really good sign. So we're gonna see what we can do, and get one more collection trip in, pack all of our stuff up, and then we'll be taking it to, we'll be taking it to the wholesaler, and then we go film more.